Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel, and yes, we're doing another 10-minute movie review today, actually per the request of someone who reached out to me through the comment section of my video. So if you haven't done that yet, I encourage you, reach out to me through the comment section and I'll make sure to reach back out to you as soon as possible. But anyway, today we are going to be talking about the short film that was created by a fellow YouTuber named Ivan, which is called Bible Adventureland the Movie. So just to be able to give you some background context for what we're going to be talking about today, Bible Adventureland is actually another YouTube channel on this platform where they're trying to reach people with the gospel using various props and things that they make themselves to be able to share messages and instances and stories from the Bible to be able to share the gospel with other people. And I really think that's super unique, and they reached out to me a couple weeks ago and they asked me to review their movie that they just released, and I wanted to be able to share that with you and my personal review of the movie. So to give you a little bit of background about this short film, I'm going to give you a quick summary without spoiling anything from the short film. Essentially what happens in this story is this man who is trying to open up his theme park, Bible Adventureland, has come across a strange creature that he wants to be able to implement into his exhibit that's going to help him promote Bible Adventureland to be able to share the gospel with individuals in his area. And essentially he comes into conflict with someone who's trying to dispute his claims about the discovery of this strange creature. And so in stating this, there's a little bit of a conflict that goes on in the background behind the scenes, but you'll see how what ends up happening is God ends up fixing the situation. Now, to share with you about this film and the behind the scenes, you can actually check out the production of this film on this guy's YouTube channel. He's given you a kind of a layout of how it took the process to be able to look through the movie and to be able to figure out what's going on with everything that he did in terms of production. And I think it's really unique as we've been able to see this kind of development from a short film side of development for Christian filmmaking. Now, in talking about short films in Christianity, I think it's important that Christians do get into this genre of filmmaking. We've seen a lot of big budget production films taking place in terms of films like God's Not Dead, or I Still Believe, like I recently covered, or even Risen that I covered on this channel. And we're thinking about these big budget and production cost films. We think about all this time and energy and effort that's put into these films, and we think, yes, there's a lot of creativity that goes into those, but I also think there's some interesting ways that Christians can get involved in short films and use them to promote different types of things and different types of ministries. Such as this specific ministry that I'm talking about today. This guy wants to be able to create a theme park, essentially, called Bible Adventureland. This film is being used to promote that, wherein he talks about essentially the book of Genesis and talks about different other events that take place in the Bible. And I think that's something that's very unique and very interesting for believers to be able to latch on to, because if we're thinking about like making YouTube videos and things like that for ministries, then I think that's really unique that he's taking this stance of actually going into the depth and production and writing and so on and so forth of directing to make a short film to help promote his ministry. I mean, I've seen other short films that people have made in terms of what they could do with their ministries and things like that, but I think it's neat to be able to see someone who's taken the initiative to be able to say, listen, I'm going to write, direct, produce, all of that, and to be able to put it on YouTube for free so people could watch it and to be able to enjoy it. Now, obviously this is a low-budget film, but I think it is something that's very important for believers to understand, because we as believers don't have to have all these high-tech equipment and all these high-tech things. I mean, yes, he had drones, yes, he had cameras, yes, he had all of that equipment, but he didn't have to have all these flashy green screens. He didn't have to have all these flashy production costs and tents and things like that. And I think that's something that's really unique about this specific film, just because I think it is an example of what a believer can do in terms of what they want to do in filmmaking. Because short films are allowed to be experimental and things like that. And so I definitely commend the creators of this film, just because they definitely took the time, and you obviously see the passion of what they're trying to do. And seeing this as an initial, I'm sure, of many projects, I'm sure they're going to do well in terms of what their ministry has in store for them. And in discussing the topic of this filmmaking process, you definitely need to check this guy out in terms of what he's been able to do in terms of making props and things like that, because he's made some really impressive things by himself, and even with the assistance of some family members and friends. I think it's really impressive to see how the Lord has used him to be able to try and reach people in his area, because from what I found, he lives in the Massachusetts, New England area in the US, And it's really unique to be able to see how he's been able to pull his local community together to really use this platform of YouTube to be able to minister to individuals through this virtual setting. And I think that's really important too, with all the stuff going on with COVID-19 and different issues surrounding this pandemic right now, just because using this medium of YouTube to be able to reach people, whether they're believers or unbelievers, I think it's a really unique platform. And plus he uses it as an example to be able to reach people with the gospel. And so I think we as believers should be encouraged by that, to not only look at someone and commend them for doing what they are following the Lord's lead on in that aspect, but also taking the time to be able to ask the Lord how we can be used to reach people using a similar platform. So anyway, like I was saying, I would encourage you to go check out the film, just because I want you to be able to be inspired about how God can use you to be able to create short films and do things creatively through video or through photography on this platform. I think it's really unique to see what they're doing over at Bible Adventureland, and I would encourage you to go check out their channel as well, just to see what they're doing over there. And that's a big thing I think we as believers need to do in general on this platform, is building one another up, is looking at each other's content and saying like, hey, I really like this, or hey, like, how did you do this, or hey, how could you teach me how to do this or that with this type of technology that you're using to be able to do your film work. And I'd be more than happy to help people do that, at least on my end, and I'm sure this guy with Bible Adventureland would be happy to as well. And so I'd encourage you to go check them out, and I will say that if you want to, I'll leave a link to that video down in the description down below. Anyway, if you want to be able to have your stuff reviewed on my channel, I'd be more than happy to review it. I'm actually reviewing this because Bible Adventureland, the channel, reached out to me and asked me to. So I'd be happy to be able to reach out and review your content on this channel at some point in the near future. That's all that I have time for you today in this video. If you don't have any other questions or comments, I'll catch you in the next video. And until next time, be blessed.